that it would be nice to do a question and answer, or just have some friendly dialogue in this moment, like it's a familiar voice, and have us just kind of chat. I want to give a friend my phone. Hey, there I am. To go to Facebook Live for me. Well, actually, can I put this on? Oh, I can share it on my page.
Yeah, you should do that. That'd be great. It's the benefit of social media.
Oh, nice.
Allowing us to share it the way it needs to be shared.
Yeah. So if you want to start sort of asking questions, or if you just want to chat, just text us or message us and tell us who's out there.
How's the sound coming through, everybody? Give me some thumbs up if you can hear it all clear and good on both ends there.
Good. What are we doing over there?
All right, just plugging in some power, and we're basically good to go. Sending love from Jersey City. Wonderful to hear your voices. You are both doing all right? Question mark.
Yeah, we're doing
Sound
great.
Is great.
Thank you, Jersey City.
That's Mr. Jeff Taylor right there.
Hey, Jeff. You doing good, my friend?
We're getting thumbs up from everybody. Sound is good.
Very good. So, anybody, I want to start a little bit with some of the work that I was doing today with my mentor, and I'm just going to get this display off. I wonder if I can share. Can I share this? Can I share this on mine Instagram as well? Can I share?
I think it might have a little bit of a feedback loop, but.
I think it might have a little bit of a feedback loop, but.
Let's lower the volume on that just so it doesn't come through right now. Okay, thank you everyone for bearing with us for a moment. This is kind of like our first time. We're trying to rock a little bit of the live feed, and just be here for questions or for support. If the first thing that comes up, it doesn't even have to be a question, it could be a comment. We'll probably end up talking about some stuff, and then along the way, if you have any feedback during the conversation, just totally feel free to interject. It's as if you were here with us in the podcast studio.
You want to mic up? Or no? Oh, it's everything's off the phone, right?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I got it here.
So one of the things I was talking to my mentor today about is dealing with the kind of fog that this moment, or in quotations, this so-called pandemic is creating in our consciousness, and what are we doing about that? She calls it like mesmerism. It's like being hypnotized in a way, and she was very concerned about what I'm doing to kind of deal with that or combat that in my consciousness. And I had said to her that I had felt that really every moment of my life, every part of my experience has kind of led me up to here, and I felt for myself a certain measure of calm and confidence. Not that I've been through this before, but I have been through some very, very, very tough stuff, and she asked me if I was working on something specifically in consciousness, like some sort of metaphysical truth or a principle-based idea. And I said to her, that I continually read all of the stuff that we had been working on for the last 3 years. I've got, I don't know, probably 800 or 900 pages of notes and I continually read I've earmarked and highlighted a lot of the major points, and that's kind of, I feel, is a certain amount of inoculation in consciousness, that um, it's kind of giving me a, a, almost like a barricade in a way. And she was saying that that it's just an interesting moment, and that the world needs uh, more confidence and love. And I said that I felt for myself that I was positioned very well for that. And I had, as a side note, I've mentioned Dr. Adam Kaplan. He was my therapist for a little bit 10 years ago, when I was kind of searching for answers in psychology. And great guy. And I had messaged him earlier this week just to make sure he's good. And he texted me back today, and he was like, if by good you mean that I'm working and surrounded by loved ones, yes. And I quote, but what a fucking bizarre time. Excuse my language, everyone, but that's it.
Beep.
Beep. And I had wrote back to him that I'm happy that he was good, and that he was out there doing his work. Like, the world needs his work. And he wrote back something interesting, and he said that the people, and these were his words, people need me as well. They're looking at me for strength and for balance and for wisdom. And I replied to him that he could rest assured that I would stand with balance and strength and let wisdom lead. And I think this is the point for everybody, that and my final comment to him was that this is a moment in which we all get to love deeper. And I think that is the keys. I think that this moment requires us to love much deeper. And I wonder to myself, what does that mean for me? How is love calling me to behave, or how is it informing me on what to put out on social media, or what to buy at the grocery store, or should I wash my hands 50 times, or should I what is it, what does it mean to you? What does loving deeper mean to you right now?
I have a question from Jeff. It says, what sorts of mental or emotional struggles have you guys been encountering so far during the quarantine? It's been easy to fall prey to my own quote unquote expectations of how I should use this time. Thoughts?
You want to give a thought, or you said you guys?
Yeah, you guys. I'll take a hit. I'll take a crack at it. I'll take a hit.
Yeah, Jeff. I don't think a friend is saying you should take a bump right now. And,
no, a hit of that quarantine. No. I think there were moments of fear that definitely tried to creep in, especially yesterday when there was a rumor of the kind of staying at home. That forced staying at home. I'm forgetting the term right now, but
lockdown.
Yeah, kind of like a lockdown essentially, but there was a mass text, almost like you get from those Amber Alerts. And so I saw that, and I immediately went and grabbed one of those, the disposable grocery bags, or excuse me, reusable grocery bags. And I made a quick list, and I grabbed some stuff for my mom. And I just told, Jessica, my fiance, and my roommates, I'm like, hey, I'm going out there. And I just kind of went and did it. And I wasn't behaving in any negative way, but I did find myself being a little more urgent about wanting to ensure that things were good, and then found myself being a little frustrated after the fact that it wasn't like I was behaving in any animalistic way, but I had allowed that feeling to get to me enough where it altered my behavior in a way that I wasn't necessarily happy with. So, to agree with Shihan and kind of dovetail off of that, yeah, it's definitely a time where we're going to be having to re-examine our beliefs. Like right now is actually the time frame where I think it's going to be not tested in some negative way, but it's really going to be put into effect, like how we want to behave. Like, the rubber is going to meet the road for our philosophy now.
I think that's a nice point. Jeff, I think the work that I'm doing with my mentor and what I understand is that it's a very important moment to protect ourselves. This is all metaphysical, by the way. I'm not suggesting that you not follow the CDC rule set, but if we were talking metaphysically, right? These flu-like symptoms, this influenza, this influence, the way that the fear spreads and influences our consciousness. And I think it's one of those times where we have to be really vigilant about protecting our consciousness. And for me personally, I'm constantly working on reading things and filling my consciousness with things that are lifting me higher, making me think higher. What's the next highest thought I can get to? And then when the fear starts to arise, I had this moment a couple of days ago, I think it was Saturday, where I was just sitting alone in my house. I guess most of us are doing right now. But I had this wash of anxiety, that I'm familiar with, but it's it was very, very powerful. And there was a moment where I was like, wait a second, is this it? And all this stuff. And then I typically don't let myself hang out in that area too long. So, I thought it best, I'm going to go out. I'm going to go out and see this, get some sunshine. And I actually went and did some shopping, and I noted that, people are still doing their thing, and people are good and they're healthy. And that, that thought, was a higher level thought from me sitting in my apartment, on the chair alone, getting anxious. So I'm trying to get to the next highest thought. And maybe that's sometimes looking on Instagram at some pictures of animals that pushes me up a little bit, or reading some things that people are posting about how they're helping their neighbors. This thing that Mr. Rogers, I quoted it yesterday, and one of the 5 power, look for the helpers. You can see that what blesses one blesses all, and those representations in consciousness tend to lift us up a little higher. So that's what I've been working on, Jeff. And man, I really can feel, what you're going through. I think all of us are going through it in that way.
We have a comment and a question.
Yeah, go.
Brandon saying, love you.
Love you too, Brandon.
And we love you. And do you have any favorite memory at the Avenue U Dojo? A person, a class, or a moment?
A favorite memory at the Avenue Dojo. The first thing that comes to mind is we had a Halloween party, probably in 1999 or 2000, and Brenda Ferrara, her Halloween costume was a bunch of purple balloons stuck to a purple bodysuit, and she came as a bunch of grapes. And it was so perfect, and the shape of the grapes were just right, and she had a grape on her head, she had a balloon on her head, and at some point at the end of the night, she was just kind of bumping into the walls and the mirrors. Karate moments or martial art moments, some highlights. Well, I was blessed to receive my black belt by Henzo Gracie at the Avenue U dojo at a seminar that he taught. That you were there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a highlight. I had tore my bicep that day training with another black belt, very famous black belt, Sean Williams. I was passing his guard and he tried to turn out, and I grabbed his collar to bring him back in, and my bicep shredded. And I thought, like, my hope of getting black belt, because I kind of had a thought that it was coming, was dashed. And Henzo presented me with the black belt, and it was near my birthday. It was near June 12th, and that was a definite highlight moment. Brandon, another highlight moment was holding you when you were first born. That like is
Whoa.
Yeah. Brandon's dad. I used to live below Brandon's family. Some people know this now, but when I first opened up Avenue U, I was homeless. I had no money, no resource, everything was gone. And I lived on the mat and for 2 years. And then my first apartment was like a basement apartment in someone's like dingy house. I think it was like $150 a month or something. It was something ridiculous because it was not really great. And then I met Richie, Brandon's dad, and Suzanne, his mom, at the karate school, and they were like, "There's a space available in the house we live in the basement," and it was like such an upgrade. And we were so close. And then when Brandon was born, his dad came down and was like, "You got to come upstairs and see the baby." And Brandon, I don't know if I ever told you this, but I was petrified to hold you. There's a picture of me holding you. It was like, but it was really a beautiful moment for me and the family as well. And let's see. Oh, there was the day we opened Avenue U, there was a fire.
At the dojo?
At the dojo. There was an electrical fire, and the fire department came. That was an interesting one.
That's some fire karate.
It was fire karate, bro. We had a karate tournament. In those days, we used to do tournaments still, and we had a karate tournament that day. It was very good.
Well, I'll say this, that was fun because I was like a goofy white belt in my gi with an afro when you got your black belt. So that was a really amazing thing to be a part of. I was very lucky. Also, I don't know if you remember, but it was maybe like 2002, and I was on a winter break from college. So I came back to Brooklyn.
You were in Buffalo?
Yes, so I was back in Brooklyn at the time, and Brandon saying, "Wow, amazing," with a heart. So
keep the questions coming.
Yeah, definitely. I came back and I was looking for a school to continue my Shotokan training.
Uh-huh.
And a cousin of mine told me, because we were talking, and I said, I'd really love to train in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Mm-hmm. And he mentioned, there's a school in Avenue U that my friend trains at, Jeremy Batchelor.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So, Batchelder. My apologies. Karmic mispronunciation of last names is happening.
I'm sure you're not the first one to call him Bachelor.
So I came to take a look, and you were teaching a class, and you were nice enough. You said, you can sit inside against the wall, because I hadn't come to train, but I remember watching you teach the class at that time, and you talked to me quickly about having the Shotokan program and the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu program. Uh-huh. And I said, I'll definitely be back. That was the first time we met. I said, I'll definitely be back. Uh-huh. And it was maybe like a year later when I actually did finally come back and start training.
In those days, we used to have people like take their shirts off and train in shorts, no shirt.
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah. I had to borrow a shirt from Sports Fever one time to
Yeah,
to
we talk
train.
about no gi, it was no clothes.
Yeah. Like skins versus skins.
Impetigo versus ringworm celebrity death match.
Go. Derek Jason on Facebook.
Hey,
Gene,
Derek.
brother, hello from work. LOL.
Well, love you. Thank you for being out there. By the way, you know, I was saying the other day, man, like there's so many people doing such great things, and I know you're one of them, Derek. So thank you for being out there and protecting and doing what you're doing.
I love those Avenue U stories, Jeff.
There's a lot of them.
He's got like teeth clenching and a brain exploding at the end. I'll say another one that was interesting. This is maybe just a few years back, but it was in a karate class, and you had me demonstrate Taikyoku Shodan for the class.
I think I actually remember that.
And I don't know what it was, but that may have been like one of those moments where everything clicked. For me. And I just remember going through it, not thinking about it, and just like wind like coming off of my gi. Like when I was throwing, like every strike was like like cracking in the air. And when I was done, I almost felt like, then I kind of came back into my, it wasn't like a conscious effort. Yeah. And then that's when I was like, oh boy. And you said something very interesting. You were like, in a very like intense way, you're like, there's no cancer in a body like that. So you said some really interesting concept of like
there's no fear in this dojo.
No, but like a very healthy kind of an expression of like when you're in that mind state, your body is just kind of taking over, and you already know it, you're already doing it. And I think sometimes I had that moment, and then if I try to consciously revisit it's not going to happen. I think I just have to be almost in that space where I set an intention, and then I just allow it for it to happen.
It moves through you, man. It moves through you. I was wondering to myself here from
Derek, thank you too. Always appreciate you.
Thank you. By the way, keep the questions coming. They're fun and amazing. But I know that you had an incident where you were in an altercation was it a wedding?
Yeah.
It was an Albanian wedding.
Of all places,
Of all places, man.
It's so odd because I've said this before to so many people. I've been in so many situations where it's almost like totally nuts and nothing would happen to me. Like I would talk to people and calm the situation, and even if they didn't calm down as a whole, like I never felt in danger. And in this instance, I don't know what it was. I just kind of like I got hit in the head with a chair, a metal chair, and it cut me down to my skull by my hairline, and it very it bothered me a lot for a while. Like I had a lot of things to deal with around that because I didn't want to. So the whole time I'm trying to talk to these people as this altercation is happening, and even after I get hit, saying like, guys, we're at a wedding, let's not do this. And then after the actual hit, and like, blood is spurting out of my head, essentially.
That's why they stop boxers, because that area bleeds a lot.
So I just looked at them and I was like, guys, stop. Like I remember I was more mad that I was like, oh shoot. Like I got hit and I was like, oh damn it. Like that was the first feeling that I like had inside. I was like, and I told them, looked at them, I was like, stop. And they looked at me and they were freaking out, and then they ran away. And I remember I had this like interesting like rush going to the hospital where I felt like so grateful. I was like, man, I'm fine. I didn't get hit in the eye. I was able to protect the people I love in the situation, and feeling a sense of like, well, if it had to be me, I'm happier that it was me because I'm capable of taking that.
Right.
But then once that kind of wore off and those little negative things start getting into the mind, I was like, why didn't I just
round kick somebody?
No, it's not even. And I'm just gonna say it in an honest way. Like, why didn't I destroy these people with what I know that I'm capable of doing?
Right.
but I was trying to offer a way of like this open peace. So then I started to have this odd conflict for a little bit of like, did I do the right thing? And then now as I come to it, I believe that I did. And I actually forgive the person that did it because
Do you know them?
not personally, but I put it into the consciousness through family members and people I know. It's like,
Nice.
it is what it is, I
Well,
mean, in the sense of it happened, and my forgiveness is there,
I love you for that.
yeah.
I was thinking like while you were telling the story about the kata, I was wondering how much did that experience inform that kata?
I think actually it's interesting you say that, because during that time I was looking at my kata as like reality. Like
Yeah.
I was
Uh-huh.
treating every movement in my
Yeah.
kata training at
Yeah.
that point as reality.
Yeah.
So I think it was appropriate for that time and what the intention was, but then
You move past
it
it.
might be something different now. Yeah.
Definitely what I hear is that martial arts helps us heal. It helps us heal physically and emotionally when you allow it to. And then, I remember reading one of my favorite stories about Chojo Miyagi, the founder of Goju, is that he got in between two drunkards on the street in Okinawa, and he let them hit him instead of hitting themselves. He's like, you can't hurt me, but you two are two drunk idiots that are going to hurt each other. So like that story always stuck with me and struck me as being a very, you know, how many people would do something like that, or how many people are agents of peace in these very, very, very chaotic times. It takes. I think it takes something, uh, but also being, having the willingness to just like present peace. And I mean, you are fine. I mean, it's I didn't. I'm not saying it wasn't tough, but like I'm looking at you. You look great.
It took some time. It was funny. We get to the emergency room, and I'm waiting, and I tell the nurse, I was like, I'm an actor. If there's a way like that, you can get somebody that is good at the stitches, at least. I was like, I'm hoping that I don't have to like. So
I want to not be
yeah,
typecasting.
yeah, exactly. So because it was right on my hairline,
Uh-huh.
and so she literally was like, "Okay, hold on a second," because she was about to do it herself, and then she said, "Hold on."
Who's Staples?
Yeah. So she said,
Oh.
hold on a second. And then she goes, and there's a doctor. The guy's literally leaving. You could see he's got his bag,
Oh.
and she talks to him, and you see her doing the kind of the hand gestures, like, this guy. And he just goes, and he
Okay.
walks over to me and had like, wasn't his bedside manner. Yeah, his bedside manner was horrible, but his technique is fantastic because he hooked me up. So, Peter Nasso,
Hey Pete,
I
how are you?
learned
Miss you, buddy.
I learned more about life and myself being a part of your dojo for 3 years than my 4 years in high school, 7 years in college. Heart.
Hey Peter, what's something you learned about yourself that you would mind sharing for other people that one maybe are listening and not, or watching and not practicing martial arts, or two are practicing and it could open them up to some of the ideas that you've discovered.
While Peter has a chance to answer that if he'd like. PJ,
PJ,
hello! Double exclamation point.
hello.
So good to hear you guys and see you.
We love you,
Shihan,
buddy.
what are some of your favorite snacks?
Did you hear that the Cincinnati Zoo is doing an in-home safari every day at like 5 o'clock? Yeah,
No, I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
know.
Yesterday I watched Rico the porcupine. Rico, Rico the porcupine is
Rico.
so good, man. It's like I never realized that what like a baby porcupine's face looks like, and he loves crunchy snacks. So it's a fascinating question. It's interesting because lately, um, lately I this just ended, but I've been craving dried figs, And I asked my mentor, I was like, do you like figs? And she's like,
That's what did this.
oh, really? A dried fig chipped your tooth?
Because there was a stem in it. And I'm all like, I don't know, man. Just like
I'm so
the
sorry.
history of my Mediterranean ancestors.
I know,
Like,
me
man,
too.
dried figs. I was like, let me grab a couple of these, and I pop one in my mouth, and my mouth's already watering because of it. I take a bite, and I just feel it go like right in between the teeth. I was like, oh shoot, did I just break my tooth?
Oh.
And I was like, all right, let it slide. I floss, I feel fine, and then all said and done, I had to go to the dentist, get a cap.
But you know, if you look up the spiritual metaphor for figs, it's wealth. And so
breaking the bank in my mouth.
Well, you broke someone's bank.
Yes.
So and then snacks, man. I also, there's no one knows about this. No one knows this about me, but lately I've been buying these little jars of French pudding, vanilla and chocolate, and it's like baby food. It's like they're stacked in my refrigerator, and I take them out and eat them with a little spoon, and I make the face like, PJ, there are two snack stories. Oh, and are you bringing snacks, PJ? Is that why you're asking? I really love, lately I've loved dried mangoes. I didn't think that I would be answering questions about snacks.
The gentle art of snacks.
The gentle art of snacking. So did Peter come back to?
No, not at the moment.
Oh,
he may have popped out. But Jeff said we watched the Cincinnati Zoo stuff too. They've got that cheetah with a best friend who's a dog. Amazing.
Yeah. I went to the San Diego Zoo, and I did a back like a behind the scenes tour, and all of those big cats have dogs. They're emotional support dogs. It's really beautiful. It's really fascinating to see.
On Facebook Live, Kenneth Ramirez.
Hey, Kenneth.
So how do you pronounce your last name? I feel bad now. Forgive me, brother. I'll learn it and then
Ramirez.
say it.
Ramirez.
No? Is it? Okay, there's another name there. I wanted to get all three. Be good about it. What's the best pizza in Brooklyn?
Man. You know, I had this interesting experience at DeFaro's. I brought DeFaro's here.
Oh yeah.
I bring snacks to the podcast, and like
the tax man came.
Oh my gosh, they put that orange sticker on their door. But you know, I'd never been to DeFaro's, and everybody was saying DeFaro's, and I went in there, and I ordered a pie, and everybody was grumpy, and I was like, what the hell is going on here? Like, I don't accept grumpy pizza. Like, no grumpy pizza. And so Kenneth, like, I started working on in consciousness. Like, I just started blessing everybody, and like the people that came in, the people that were working there, and like the head grumpy guy was like the guy who was pulling the pizza out of the oven. He was like head grumpy. I don't know if he was DeFaro's son or grandson or whatever, but at some point, like after me like smiling and trying to engage and be happy, he was like, you want extra napkins? And I was like, yes, man, yes, I did it. We did it. I think for me though, L&B's square is top. It's like, yeah. But not so many people like it. Like they think it's sweet or doughy, and that's what I like about it.
Hand me the box.
What's your favorite pizza in Brooklyn?
Instagram Live, Eladia. It's
Hi,
great
Eladia.
to hear you guys. Miss you all very much.
We love you. I know you're doing well where you are in Florida. I don't work with missing people so much. I mean, it's like, you know, I just know that you're loved where you are, and we miss you. We miss your family.
Peter came back with, one major thing I learned is that the practice and progress is much bigger than myself.
Oh, wow.
I lost my individuality and became one with everyone practicing. My own progress became a backdrop. It was grander.
Beautiful, Peter. Beautiful. You know, if I may, Peter, I witness you taking care of people much more. And I know that like for me, when I train with you, that makes you a lot more trustworthy to me. And when I watch you do that with others, then like that trustworthiness inspires me to give you more. And I hope that you've seen that in the interactions that when we've trained together, like I've been much more with you and trying to give you things and looks and stuff that would help your overall progress. One, because I think you've earned it, and two, it's like I know that you're a conduit to the other students. People love you, man. Did you get that, Pete?
Oh yeah, I'm trying to find all the heart emojis over here.
Oh, there's lots of heart emojis. Oh, I heart everybody too. You know, I started doing this thing in the new car, right? It's like a hot rod, right? And so people, like, I think expect me to be a certain way, and I sit very low.
Yeah.
You know, and then like when people try to take pictures of me, I like flashlight like that, and they're like,
subvert expectations.
oh right, subvert expectations. So that's our gang sign right there. That's that the Crips, Bloods, and the Hearts, baby.
GD Heart Gang.
Oh yeah, there were.
What was that thing?
I think I'm the only one who can do this with Danaher, but like, you know, I'm like, man, that DDS is ridiculous. Like, what are you doing? Like, I told him the other day, he was talking about Conor McGregor's like scotch, and I was like, yeah, man, you should make your own tequila with the squad. DDS, Danaher's Death Syrup. and we were laughing. And I love the guy, man. He lets me because of our relationship be very playful. But Cleve and those guys, Brian Cobham and them, were saying like, yeah, Gene Dunn's Love Squad, like GDLS, Gene Dunn's Love Squad. I was like, okay, I'll take it. Get the squad up right
now. Peter, Big Heart, signing off with love.
Love you,
can't wait to be back in class.
Yeah, man, we can't wait to have you back.
Yeah.
Did Kenneth answer what he thought the best pizza was?
No, he might be off to L&B right now, actually.
Oh,
he just dropped the phone and ran off.
Everybody, I had the worst idea. Like there's no milk in the refrigerator at the podcast studio, and I was like, oh, Frim, I'm gonna be back. I'm going to get coffee, and I go out, and it's like nothing. I came back and I said, this is the worst idea I've ever had. There's nothing worse than going out for coffee and coming back with nothing.
Jeff, Love Squad is a huge takeaway here for sure. And then Derek on the Facebook Live. Funniest BJJ bloopers at Brooklyn Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, or who has the funniest reaction when they feel they roll outside of your expectations or train outside of your expectations?
Wait, I don't know if I understand the question.
We'll do the first part. Like okay. a blooper, like maybe something, blooper? Maybe the funniest thing that happened on the mat, or...
Oh, someone brought an alligator to class one time. I had a student who came in with an alligator. It was like that big, and it ran across the mat, and I was like, wait.
Bing, 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 bing.
Did I just see an alligator run across the mat? And he was like, yeah. I don't know what happened to that alligator, by the way, but he had it for a while, I guess. That was a blooper moment, I guess.
Monstrous in a sewer somewhere.
What's the second part of the question?
It says funniest reactions when you feel people roll outside of your expectations.
There's a student who's Italian. I don't want to embarrass him. I'll keep his name. But like sometimes he's done judo. He's great. He's doing so well. But in the past, you know, he has that judo mentality. He goes very, very strong. And when he would do that, I would start singing the theme from Godfather. I call him Michael Corleone, you know, like when he talks outside. Sonny Corleone when he talks outside of the family. So that's a good one.
Yeah, keep them coming. I like this, guys. This is a fun. Brandon with the multiple laugh faces.
So I want to share some questions that my mentor shared with me that we were working on today. Like, what are we doing to rise above the mist in consciousness? What are we doing to rise above this so-called issue? I think that that's an important question. What are you doing? What am I doing to rise above it in consciousness? The next, what are we doing to prepare for when it's over? Like, how are we preparing ourselves in consciousness for when this thing comes to an end? Because it will come to an end. Next is, how do we focus during this time? How is it that you're focusing? What are you doing to keep your focus in line? What are some of the disciplines that we use? I know for me, 1 is exercise, 2 is prayer, 3 are daily affirmations. 4 is I don't know about self-care. I don't want to get in trouble here, but just taking a rest, taking a nap, if you will, or eating well. How do we properly address this subject in consciousness? How do we properly address it? What do we need to know in order to address the fear and the influence that it's trying to impose upon us in consciousness? And she said this, I love it. Like, do we have enough helium in consciousness to rise above this? What are we filling the balloon in consciousness with to rise above it? We were talking about trusting love, trusting divine love, trusting that we are loved and we are safe and we are protected. And I have some friends that I've reached out to, and they've said so courageously, like, I'm not worried. I know that I'm protected. I know that divine love has got me. And we were talking about this in the last live post, but Josh had said, I'm not so worried about it. And one of the things I think is important is, at least metaphysically, to understand that there can be no loss. And if we're calm and and we maintain our integrity in consciousness, then we'll see the opportunity when it comes. It may not come in the form that we like or we are expecting, but it'll come. It'll come.
Justin D. Joseph.
Justin,
blessings to you.
Blessings.
Big heart.
Thank you. Love you.
It's a lot to chew on sometimes, especially when you have when you have it laid out in front of you in the sense of questions. It makes it easier, and I guess it takes away any of it can very easily start to take away the feeling of anxiety or frustration, because you're putting your attention on something that's asking something more of you.
I think this is a moment where God or love or divine mind is asking something from us, and is also giving to us. She said something really wild to me today. She was like, I feel bad for God right now, like, because there's all this stuff going on, and I believe that it's asking us to turn to love more and more and more. And I think a lot of people, understandably so, are really turning to fear. She did this thing. I've done this with some of the people that I've mentored, but that when they're getting really anxious, I've pointed out, like, you're worshiping fear right now. You're like really focused on that. That's becoming your major focus. And I've thought, like, or I've presented the question, is that something you really want?
Wow. It literally just hit me that you're saying the thing you focus on is essentially almost like a form of worship.
Well, think
Wow.
about
I
it.
mean, in a way, that's just like, I think I'd never maybe heard it in that context before. It's just, wow.
And so, like, in that context, right? Like, that's why I want to be. I want to be worshiping confidence right now. I want to be worshiping love and principle and good health and I mean abundance. And I mean it's very difficult. Like I mean the worldview has it such that it's not all that easy. But I know for all you martial arts people out there, like this is what you've been training for. You know, like this is the fight. And I remember I said this the other day to Jessica. Like if this was feudal Japan, everybody would be suiting up right now. Like you'd be getting your samurai armor on and going out to the battlefield. Like what do you think you've been training for? I mean, this is it. This is one of those times.
Instead of chopping anything down, we're like trying to build people up. You know, my one of my friends who lives in the building, he put up a note on the wall saying if there's anyone that can't, you know, do their own chores or run for groceries, that he would do that.
I love that guy.
And yeah, he's amazing. John Hurley, one of like the most down South Georgia guy actually. So
Hey.
he put that very nicely. And obviously I told him, hey, I got your back. If you're going on a run, I'm going to go with you, and
Yeah.
we'll help everybody in the neighborhood and in the building and stuff like that. So I mean, I'm very well equipped in my own health. So like I mentioned last time, if
Yeah,
there's a hit to be taken,
yeah.
my immune system can handle it. For those that maybe it cannot.
I love you for that, man.
Yeah.
I love you.
We have from Justin again. Love you always. Heart, prayer hands, or high five, whichever one that is.
All of them.
And
High five, prayer hands, and heart.
And Frank Scasia, I
Frank,
believe,
yeah, Frank,
Shihan Frank,
Hi, Frank.
saying hello, sir.
Hello to you, my man.
Kenneth, I've had some of the most loving thoughts over the last few days. I feel closer to my family and friends, even though we're at a distance. I think this situation, like everything, is happening for a reason.
Yeah, you know, this is interesting. I think the same thing, but you know, there are some people that would argue that that's the way our brains work, that we're meaning making machines, and I think it's going to be very interesting here, Kenneth, to see what comes about from all of this. Like, will this level off some of the wealth disparity? Will this create social health care? Will this change the political structure in our country right now? Will this change the next election? I mean, will this bring, you know, the world together in a common bond? And will there be like you know, I mean, I don't notice any terrorist strikes happening right now, thankfully, right? Like, will there be more of a sense of world unity? I mean, these are all important things. I mean, and maybe they're Pollyannish to some. I'm just not a conspiracist or a doomsday person. Like I heard Brian Glick told me that people in LA are buying up guns and bullets right now. Like,
Yeah, some people are leaning very heavily into the fear element and kind of a survival
yes,
base survival mentality.
yeah, you know, I was talking to Brian on the way here, and he was at the store buying food for the family, and I was like, "How is it?" And he said, "It's calm, it's normal." And I said, "You know, I'm so proud of Brooklyn right now. I mean, that's what I've experienced in the stores that I've gone to, and people out there like Brooklyn, you're doing a good job."
I think it really can tip in different directions, because I've been to both. I've been to places where it's absolutely calm, and then I've been to some where you start to the anxiety, that rush that happens in the blood. You could see it happening in people's bodies.
It's funny that you say blood.
Yeah.
That's a metaphor for family and metaphor for security.
Oh yeah. They DJ Mark Anthony, amazing,
Mark.
well said. Hashtag Gene for president. Gene done 2020.
It's already 2020, man.
Eladia, what is a change that you made in regards to how you run your schools that you are so proud of and that you feel has made the biggest impact for your students and how they learn?
Oh, what a beautiful question, Eladia. Thank you. Um, well, I think the biggest change for the schools was the decision to not be a competition-based school. That even though that is um, frowned, or let's say 15 years ago when I got my black belt in jiu-jitsu, or like, and even before that, like, that was really frowned upon and was considered, I mean, I got called so many names, and, I was a sellout, and I was, destroying the art, and, all there is competition. And, but holding fast to that, Eladia, and allowing students, and I haven't done it always successfully, and I don't know if I'm a pioneer in this area, but I did take a lot of arrows, is what I'm saying, and that I felt those arrows a lot of times affected me emotionally. It was difficult to deal with, so that I couldn't see clearly sometimes the vision, but I think that allowed our students to experience something different, not just in martial arts, but in their lives. I think it's this way for women. I mean, I read a meme recently, like yesterday or today, that, women should be supporting one another rather than competing against each other. So I'm assuming that it is that way for women, but for men, for sure, like, I don't think that there's a lot of men, at least there wasn't when I started thinking about this and implementing it, that have had experiences with other men that are not competitive in some way, like some subtle one-upmanship, some subtle, like, I'm better than you, some subtle, like, something. And I think that was a radical thing for people, and I'm hoping that ignited some type of different conversation and experience in the students' consciousness, and that they're able to kind of at least recognize that it doesn't have to be that way.
PJ has a question, and I also was going to ask, and I think the two tie together. His question is, what is the history behind the student creed we say at the end of class? Mm-hmm. And then I would add on to that where does the idea exist in martial arts of the cooperation over competition beforehand? Because I think a lot of people don't.
Well, I think there's more
recognize that.
I'll get back to PJ's question because it's great. But 15 years ago, there was no evidence of it. And now, like, the generation, my generation and the generation after me are now moving into an age group where if they stayed in the martial arts long enough, they had to deal with it because there's no other way. There just isn't. It becomes like an ego trip. And, there's only one John Danaher. There's only one, Danaher death syrup. There's just, John, I love you. And so, and even he talks about it. Even he talks about, there's a difference between martial arts and martial sport and the martial artist mentality. Like, we've had in-depth conversations about it. Before, the only Master Funakoshi talked about in his writings that karate should not be used for competition. He was opposed to it. It was Nakayama who developed the JKA and sport karate for its propagation. Mr. Kano, he was a proponent of judo for the Olympics, but I think only to have it spread faster through the world. But I think that there was some conflict there.
But there was also the philosophical element of mutual benefit.
And that, I believe that came out of, and I could be wrong, but I believe that came out of one of his contemporaries, Master Ueshiba. They came out of the same jiu-jitsu structure, and Aikido and Judo were born. I think jiu-jitsu, the way it is right now, is perfectly suited for an amalgamation of both, because Judo has an effectiveness that I don't want to say Aikido is ineffective, but I think Aikido slides into an area or goes deeper into the area of art, which I love, which I have no problem with and really appreciate. But I think there's an argument about what's effective, and I think jiu-jitsu right now is perfectly suited for that. It can remain very, very effective and still be very cooperative. And then back to, does that help? Did that answer the question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and then back to PJ's question.
What is the history behind the student creed?
Yeah.
We say at the end of class.
Yeah, PJ. My first mentor's father, Nick Kokinos, developed the student creed because I think that he realized that there was no real code for martial artists to stand by. There was there's a Dojo Kon, which is Mr. Funakoshi's 5 precepts for, I think it was a proactive, a forewarning of the pitfalls of karate training and what one needed to think about.
We're going to have a small pause in about 15 seconds to restart the live video for Instagram. So just hang in there, guys, and we'll continue to answer that.
Is all that on Instagram?
Yes, but we're still on Facebook. But I'm going to click over in just a second once we have it ready.
So Facebook, should I pause for both? Hi, everybody. Help me here.
Hold on a second. I'm going to restart another live.
Thank you. By the way, Ephraim, thank
You're
you.
welcome.
By the way, everyone, Ephraim is the producer of this show, and he does it all for the sake of me and the students and the good that we're putting out into the world. So I want to say thank you to Ephraim. Appreciate you.
Oh, man.
Yeah, big heart, high fives, prayer hands.
Gene Dunn love gang. What was it again?
Yeah, the GDLS, the Gene Dunn Love Squad.
Okay, so we're back up on Instagram. We're still good on Facebook.
So PJ, I don't know if you heard it, but my first mentor, his dad, Nick Kokinos, developed the student creed as a way to give the practitioner a universal code. My best friend Tom Clifford says, without a code, we become worriers instead of warriors. And I think that that's a really very, very, very powerful thing in this moment. If all you're doing is worrying over there, then it's time to start living by a code. And that student creed, that's a good one. Nice.
Jeff Taylor Love Squad. That might have to be our first.
Wait, did Jeff Taylor Love Squad too?
No,
Is that what you're
wrote
do with DJ Jeff?
No, he wrote Love Squad.
JTLS, Jeff Taylor Love Squad.
That might be the first purchasable merch for Gentle Art Podcast. Love Squad. What do you guys think about that?
I love that. Your brother can do the t-shirts. Hats, beanies, Love Squad.
Sarai, that's very powerful. Wow, with a fire emoji.
Hi, Sarai. We love you.
Oh, we got our good friends from Kimura Soap joined us.
Hey, Kimura Soap. Thank you, everybody. By the way, we are sponsored by Kimura Soap. Organic soap for the martial arts community. That's KIMURASOAP.com. Kimura soap, by the way, like he spelt it out for me so that I could say it, right? And then I said to a friend, I said, but you didn't spell out .com. Like, if they do they know how to spell .com? We love the soap. By the way, Christian, I'm done with my soap. DUNN with my soap, Christian. I love the stuff, man. It's really, really, really good.
It's kind of, it's so interesting that right before the times of everyone being a little worried about washing their hands and everything,
I know,
like we team up with the best soap.
Everybody wash your hands with Kimura soap. Kimura soap for oh, I heard someone call it the Corona-cation today. Like the Corona vacation. Take it with you on your staycation. Kimura soap. But listen, I would absolutely not get behind something that wasn't good. And that soap is really good. The soap is great.
Yeah, there have definitely been a few people or companies rather that have reached out, but I don't think philosophically it matched. And so this is technically our first.
Like I'm not getting behind an asbestos company.
Yeah. Hey, you need to break down the walls. Gene Dunn's Jiu-Jitsu.
Jiu-Jitsu for the construction community.
Yeah. Jeff Taylor, you guys gonna enjoy a quarantini tonight? You're so ridiculous.
Here comes the jokes.
Yeah, I think it's honestly though it's good to laugh, especially in times like this, because there's so much stress that people are perpetuating, and we talked about being in kind of that survival mindset that you gotta. I'm always a fan of cracking jokes, so
yeah, man, you have to find a little levity. It breaks the spell, everybody. It breaks the human condition up. You have to find some levity.
My quarantinis have been 2 times a day, once in the morning, once in the evening. I take my emergency powder in
Are you being Jeff Taylor's?
Cup of water. No, this is mine. I'm just replying to Jeff. I stir it up in a cup, and then I take my multivitamin with it, and I'm like,
you know what my quarantini is? I like force my cat down on the bed, and then like I mush his face against mine, and then I rub his tummy and I scratch his head. I find that's the best thing for my immune system.
And he's like,
that's exactly like today. I was like forcing my 2 fingers around his whiskers, like, you know, that's where his like friendly pheromone is, right?
Feelers, basically.
Well,
right?
But there's glands here that's why they rub against stuff.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
It leaves a scent to them that it's friendly territory. And so like I was forcing that friendly gland, and he was like, meow. He was being
We're getting some prayer hands high five from oh dirty BTRD.
Oh dirty Bert. OD Bert.
Oi.
Hey, love you, buddy. How are things back at 1 Brooklyn Bridge Plaza? Everybody safe? By the way, I was living in that building when Sandy hit, and I have a video of water flooding the staircase.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really wild. I remember they called the cops on me because because I went wading out into it. And the cops came and they were like, we heard there was someone going out in the water. And I was like, nah, no one's doing that around here.
Soaking wet? Nah.
No, I think I had shorts on.
Not here.
But this, I'm not saying be cavalier, everybody, but you don't have to fall prey to the fear. You can elevate in consciousness. There's things out there that are like the helium agents. They lift us up. Look for them. Fight back. Push back against the bully. like if you went to karate class, like you're learning how to I mean, metaphorically fight back, start fighting back.
Yeah, I would say in a way, just make sure you're keeping your immune systems up. Don't let those little negative thoughts get you down, and then you end up staying home and just eating donuts and cookies and all that other stuff. Like
all my what do they call it? Quarantine snacks are gone.
you got to stick to the healthy stuff, and also like a healthy maybe. I would suggest maybe like a healthy mental diet of things to watch. Like if you're gonna watch.
Yeah, what are you watching right now?
I've actually been keeping probably 90% of my focus has been on learning more about editing, both video and audio, just because I still feel like in some ways that I'm just a white belt at all this stuff. Like there's so many little particular elements that I'm learning along the way. So I guess if that were to translate to everybody who's listening, maybe like pick up a skill or something that you've wanted to work on. If you find yourself having time, because I'm not going to assume just because you're home necessarily you're going to have the time to do that stuff, because you may have other responsibilities and things to work on. But I would say maybe either learn a new skill or really kind of buckle down on honing your skill now. I mean, there's a great video series out, actually you were mentioning earlier, that Professor Danaher put out, which is like a free series that's...
Oh, was it free?
Yeah, it's free for download because he just wanted people to be able to train in the basics of like things that you can do as a solo practitioner. So if I would suggest, if you're feeling a little missing being on the mat and training, that's one source that I know for certain is has a high pedigree.
That guy is so amazing. Like to be his friend and to know him as I do, like, and to watch his generosity. He loves jiu-jitsu. He loves people that are doing well in jiu-jitsu and that are studying and loving the art.
Pay attention to the chat groups too, and also the GDSK karate social media pages, the Brooklyn Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu social media pages. Some of the things that Professor Glick is putting out and Shihan, it's really uplifting and a good way to keep focus in this time that's kind of can keep you sporadic mentally. That would be my suggestion for that.
Hey, Chris Savello joined, our friend Chris.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we love you, Chris. Nice to see you, buddy. You doing well over there?
Kenneth, I'm watching Carlito's Way. I added the flourish at the end.
Yeah. How does he text the flourish? Carlito's Way.
No, I'm watching Carlito's Way.
Kenneth, there's a guy, my high school girlfriend's brother said that my twin is in that movie. There's a guy that's like Carlito's security guy in the club. You should, if you see him,
screenshot it.
Yeah, screenshot it. Oh, if you can, hi Jesse. If you can't hear the podcast, go to the Gentle Art page. You should be able to hear the pod.
Yeah, right now we're only doing it's live on social media, and then what I'm gonna do is take the episode as we're recording it now, and then I'll release that maybe within a week or so, because we're one behind on stuff that we've been recording recently.
Yeah. So, but if you can't hear I guess it should be sharing on my page live.
Are they? Give us a heads up, everyone listening right now. Can you hear the audio? Shoot some thumbs up and yays or
Chris. I'm glad you're
hearts
doing well.
and high fives.
I know that I'm knowing that the kids are doing well and your family's doing well, and relax. The school's going to be great, man. You're one of the best guys out there. Mike Stewart, nice to see you. Nice to see you. Any other questions? Anybody have any metaphysical questions or martial art questions? Oh, right. You can see my East River shirt. They used to swim in the East River. They did.
Yeah.
I have a friend I had a childhood friend who didn't make it out. He dove off the upper ramp that was by John J. Park.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I don't think I know the answer to this, but what was your first experience with Sifu Vizio?
Oh my gosh. So I was 17 or maybe 18, and I took the 7 train out to Flushing to the Tokutai Jojo. And in those days, it had a reputation of being like the, the toughest karate school in the organization and one of the toughest karate schools in the world, right? Or in the U.S. at that time. I liken it to in those days it had the reputation like Henzo's does now. Like it was one of the spots. So Mr. Vizio trained out of that dojo, and they were best friends, Mr. Miyazaki and him. And I got there early, and he was the only one there. And he never met me. I never met him. I knew who he was. I knew like his reputation. And he like immediately screamed at me, "What are you doing here? You're too early." And I was like, and he was like, and I'll never forget, because he always makes fun of me. He said, "Go get a slice of pizza. You look like a pizza boy anyway." I was like, and I left. I just left.
What do you say?
I was like, I guess I'm a pizza boy. Don't punch me. Everybody knows it. Like his favorite thing to tell me right now is you're 2 hamburgers shy of magnificent, or you're a cheeseburger away from being magnificent. And I guess it started in that moment. He's a friend the other day, he was making me do these exercises, and I turned to him and I said, "Hi, Maria. Hi, Mark David." He turned to me and I looked at him. I says, "Why do you hate me so much?" He started laughing. I was like, I can't do this stuff.
Question from Christian, Kimura Soap.
Christian.
Do you think
soap? KIMURASOAP.com.
This is a bit of a serious one, but do you think it's interesting that people are very into social distancing to protect people they don't know, but don't seem to care about 8,500 kids that die because of hunger? I'm assuming that's the statistically probably per day or something to that.
I think about this. I think about this a bit, and Christian, I can only resolve this in my consciousness. Like I can only find some like comfort in metaphysics. Like I don't have an answer for people exactly, but one of the things I'm working on in metaphysics is knowing that all of us, all of love's children are well cared for. And then letting that guide me. And then I'm also knowing metaphysically that all of love's children are healthy and and again, I'm not trying to suggest that other people do this or that I'm being cavalier in this moment. I'm not. We close the schools. I'm in my house. I wash my hands. I'm doing the things. But Einstein says we can't solve a problem with the same mind that got us into it. So I think metaphysically, and more specifically divine metaphysics, suggests that we see a higher truth. And when we're ascending like that in consciousness, then we can arrive at new solutions. Yeah, do I think it's fascinating that people are like social distancing, but then there's, hungry children dying? Yeah, man, that's fascinating. Is it fascinating? listen, man, Christian, I talked to my mom on the way here, and I said, Mom, like you were in the orphanage in Lebanon in World War II, and I said, do you ever remember a time when it was like this? And she was like, listen, I remember two events during that time. And she said, while I was in the orphanage during World War II, smallpox hit the Middle East and destroyed everybody. Like it leveled everybody, and there was no vaccine. And then she said something, Christian, that may be very intense for people, but it gave me some perspective, and I'll share it. She said, in those days, there was a famine. And if your family member died, they didn't bury you, they ate you. And that was the only way of survival. And, like, do I find that interesting, man? Yeah, dude, that's like how did we find ourselves here? And what are we going to do about that? And like Mark Anthony said, Gene Dunn for president. And, some people have playfully said I should go into politics. I love you for that. It's such a compliment to hear. And, really, I think my post is to work in consciousness, to prayerfully work and to lovingly express and to think about other ways in which to handle this and give people confidence and be a source of light here and now. And I don't, Christian, I don't have an answer, bro, but I feel you, man. I really do. I think it's like, I think we got our work cut out for us. Is that helpful?
Yeah, I think so. I think it also becomes a bit of a lesson to us, when these things start to arrive at our doorstep and create inconsistencies in the way that we've been living and behaving. You have to make one of two choices. You have to become more aware, and that's the hope that I want to put out there and let people know. Like in other countries, when there are people escaping, famine and oppression, and they have fear around their neck on a daily basis, and we just start to like slightly taste that and lose our minds in the supermarket. Like we can't dive into that. We have to be the example, be the expression, so that number that you mentioned of those children that die every day, every year of starvation, that reduces only via awareness. And yeah, it is interesting that some people only find that when those challenges arrive to their doorstep. But hopefully, with the idea of a kind of expanding consciousness through this podcast, that you don't have to be up front to it. It can be something in your thought, and then you engage it that way and make a change that way.
Thoughts are things, everybody. Thoughts are things, and there's a metaphysical statement that things are happening for one of two reasons: an adjustment or a lesson. That's just it. For our joy and our progress, or for a lesson to teach us something. But I don't think love is punishing us. I don't think that's the case. Love doesn't do that.
From Jeff, thank you from the bottom of my heart for this real-time experience with you, gents. Can't wait to train with you both in the future. Love you. Grateful.
Love you, Jeff. The school will be open, my man. The school will be open. I see Kim is out there, and some other people are joining us on Facebook. Any other questions? You got some questions? Come on, let's chat.
Well, obviously I have Mr. Miyagi here, but what is a martial arts film that you think is about as closely representative to the idea of martial arts that you have?
Oh, man.
It might not even be a martial arts film, but maybe it's just something that...
I met Johnny and the Bad Sensei. Coming out of judo, I was practicing judo with Sensei Taimak at the New York Athletic Club on a Sunday morning, probably 5 years ago now. And I was coming out, and I saw them and I was like, oh crap, this really can't be happening. And I went up to them, and in retrospect, what I think they were doing was they were going to HBO studios or MTV studios to pitch,
to prepare for this new version that came out.
And so I was like, I took a picture with them. I took a selfie with them, and I was like, "You guys don't know who you were talking to," and they were like, "Yeah, we do." Like, yeah, Gene Dunn, you're not all that special, bro. Like you. I was like, no. I got students and I got schools and the Karate Kid and I'm the Karate Kid.
And you're the best around.
Yeah.
And crane kicks and no can defense.
And I was like, shot down. I love the Karate Kid. I think that movie was just, amazing for me. I'm getting a text from a staff member going, she's cleaning and cooking so much right now. Sharon, we love you. I know you're not out there, but on Facebook, but I don't know of a martial art film that like closely models our like thought model about it. I know some non-martial arts film that do, but I also love Enter the Dragon. I think that that movie is just so dope. One thing I'll never forget about Mr. Vizio, I think I shared this with you, but like I remember talking to him after one of our sparring sessions, and probably like 90 or 91, and I said, Seafood, did you ever meet Bruce Lee? And for my generation of kid or New Yorker,
yeah, of course,
like Bruce Lee is God, like martial art God, right? And he said, that guy was a pot smoking beatnik, and I was like, oh, blaspheme! Like, and that's the only guy in the world that could see that about Bruce Lee until Quentin Tarantino did this movie, right? Like,
yeah.
where the stunt man kind of throws.
Side note, that was supposed to be representative of an experience between him and Judo Gene LaBelle on a film set.
Yeah. My friend Brian trained with Gene LaBelle. He had this thing where they would ride motorbikes in the desert. That was part of their like Gene LaBelle would do that with his students.
Wow.
Intense and wild guy, but Vizio is the only person in the world, in my world, that could ever like say that and it have weight. And then but Enter the Dragon, man. Enter the Dragon is dope.
And that was so iconic, it changed the face of, every martial art film prior to that.
It changed the face of the way people practice karate.
Absolutely.
Like him, he was doing double kicks, he was doing jumps, spins, steps, all kinds of things. But I think like probably the best movie that represents our paradigm of martial arts is Groundhog Day. Groundhog Day. That's the best martial art movie ever made. That's it. Groundhog Day with Bill Murray.
Every day till you figure it out.
It's, every day.
Chop wood, carry water.
Every day until you figure it out. Hold on. I'm getting yelled at that someone can't get on.
All right, Derek's got a funny one. If you could roll with one celebrity, one historical figure, and one villain, who would it be?
I don't roll. I croissant. I be Ali. Listen, I trained with David Lee Roth one time. Right after, like, not long after, like, Van Halen threw him out. Probably like 1996. I guess that's a little bit after Van Halen threw him out, but and he was Matt Serra's private student, and I was training at the academy, and I was a blue belt, and David Lee Roth, I think, was a white belt, and Matt asked me to train with him because either he had like a fight coming up or he was injured, and like he let David Lee Roth start on top mount, and David Lee Roth went ham, bro. He went bananas, like, and at some point I was like, Dave, calm down. And he looked at me, and if anybody knows me, like I was like the policeman at Henzo's. I was like the policeman at Henzo's, so like I was one of the. They say I was one of the roughest guys there was, and he looked down at me and he was like, "Yeah, man, I got a lot of problems."
That was pretty
I got a lot of emotional issues, and I was like, "It's fine, Dave. Just don't kill me." Like, and then he went out on the fire escape at the academy and smoked a joint. And I went home.
That's so funny.
What movie actor would I like to train with? I trained with Maynard from Tool. That was really great. And I trained with Madonna's Kabbalah teacher once.
Ooh.
Oh, like Guy Ritchie came up to me and he was like, "Will you train with him?" And I was like, "Yes." And he was like, "Just take really good care of him." And I was like, "Yeah, don't worry. I know who he is." And it was a good training, but he liked to drool. He was like, he drooled when he trained. "I'm sorry, Mr. Kabbalah."
He's like, "I'm so relaxed."
Like who? I'm trying to think of like who I like as an actor. I like Willem Dafoe, man. I would love to train with Willem Dafoe. Willem Dafoe is dope. And then villain, Shonuff, bro. I want to train with Shonuff, the Shogun of Harlem.
Yeah.
What other?
I got something real for you in these hands. That's one of my favorite lines. Oh my goodness.
Derek, is that good? Is that good? What villain would you like to train with, Derek?
Gabriel Van
Rel. Yeah, hi Gabe. Hi, love you, buddy.
Yo,
I know
have
you're
been
out
listening for 30 minutes. Thank you both for the beautiful moment. Good night from London.
Okay, good night. Keep doing that good work out there, Gabriel. He was one of my very best training partners growing up, and he runs an outstanding Shotokan Karate Dojo in London, and is really doing.
Yeah, it was actually a guest on.
He was a guest on the
Martial Arts Mind.
On the Martial Arts Mind. So.
Well, we've been going for a while, everybody. If you have any more questions or comments that you'd like to throw in.
Yo, Avery. Hi, Avery. Oh, my sister's on. Hi, Bobby. Oh, my sister. Bobby, love you. So, any other questions? We'll go for another couple minutes here.
Yeah, I think so. We'll start to wrap it up, and if anything pops in, then we'll go from there. But this was fun. What did you guys? It'd be very helpful actually to let us know what you liked, maybe what you'd like to hear or see more of. Check us out on social media, the Gentle Art Podcast, all across all platforms. And also, if ever you want to send us anything via email, you could do that at thegentleartpodcast@gmail.com.
I'd love to hear some ideas for episodes, and also like who would you like to hear on the Gentle Art? I've been thinking about Danaher. I've been thinking if I can get George on, I would get George St. Pierre on. But yeah. Is there someone that you know that you'd like to have come on the Gentle Art Podcast? Maybe there's someone that you know that would be a great addition to the podcast.
We've also started a new element to the show called Essential Reading. And basically Shihan picks one of the many books that he's read or is currently reading, and we'll do an excerpt from that, and it just kind of leans you in a little more to the ideas of the philosophy of the podcast and kind of where
martial art training,
the direction it's trying to go.
If Avery's asked, oh, Avery, where did that comment go? Oh, there it is. If you had the chance, what martial artist would you like to meet in history? That is a great question, Avery. I'd like to meet Mr. Funakoshi.
Wow.
I would really, I went to Mr. Miyazaki's dojo, the Kenkujuku dojo in Japan, where Mr. Okano taught, and Mr. Funakoshi went to that dojo for, I think, a grade, an examination, a promotion, and to kind of be in the same space as the master. I would that was really spectacular. I would like to meet Mr. Funakoshi. The other person I think I would like to meet, and I don't know if people think of him as a martial artist, but Daruma. Daruma is the person that's responsible for the spread of the 12 animal exercises from India to the Shaolin Temple. I want to meet the guy who walked across the Himalayas. Yeah, sure, I'd like to meet Daruma. Does that answer your question, Avery?
Mark Holt.
Mark, hey Mark.
Love listening to Shihan. Always
love you,
an
buddy.
Inspiration.
Thank you. We love you, man. You're doing good work out there too. Thank you, buddy. Any other questions? Any other?
Yeah, reach out to us. We'd love to hear more. This is in some ways a labor of love, because we know that in the kind of collective consciousness of the martial arts world, there's typically just like one attitude or idea towards what martial arts is, and we're trying to talk about it. We're trying to expand the consciousness a little bit around other ideas, and let us know what you'd like to hear. Maybe some future questions, and maybe we'll have this be an ongoing Q&A episode once a month or something like that.
Or at least while everybody's home.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, well, love you, everyone. Thank you for joining in, and just keep heading towards the light. I know that's like a poltergeist reference. Carolyn, stay away from the light. But no, serious, keep pushing back against the bully in consciousness. You don't have to kowtow to it. Do what you need to do. Wash your hands. Social distance if you need to. Watch Seinfeld episodes. But push back. Push back on it in consciousness. Stand up to the bully. We love you.